What's up guys, welcome back to a brand new video. And in the height of all the Undisputed stuff that's been going on from the beta and we've been playing and posting the gameplay, I've honestly forgotten about my hopes for UFC 5. So that's why we're going to be talking about this, because I think I've missed a good few things. Normally I try and talk about the updates and maybe if they add new fighters I try to talk about it, but I actually haven't spoke about it for a little while now. Now, previously we spoke about when they added Cheeto, and I believe when they added those two lads from the Dana White Contender Series, Bo Nickel and something Roas or something. I can't remember his name, but you guys know who I'm talking about. At the time of making those videos, I had shown you guys that when they had started at least the final steps of production, they always stop updating the older game. UFC 1 they stopped for a whole year and UFC 2 came out. Same with UFC 2 to 3 and same with 3 to 4. As you guys know, with UFC 3, they updated, I think they added Sean O'Malley and Israel Adesanya and then didn't do nothing for an entire year, and then we got UFC 4. However, the only rumor we've ever heard about release is summer 2023 for UFC 5. And now that it is November and they're still updating the game, I think EA may have actually changed their cycle production, or their production cycle, or the way they do their production for the UFC games. So first thing that I haven't spoken about is these two images up on screen now of Valentina Shevchenko in a mocap suit up in Vancouver, which I believe is a headquarters for EA, or at least EA's UFC team. I did make a video talking about this. I never uploaded it because I got so much other stuff came out of different things, which is why I put it in this one as well. But this one was actually from like late October, so you know, if she's been doing her mocap for at least a good few months, that summer 2023 isn't exactly crazy. And in this image as well, we got Miranda Maverick being scanned in, but she even stated herself she doesn't know if it's for the new one or the current one. But still, it seems to me like they're trying to fill the roster and get those missing pieces. But why would they do all this effort for a game in its second year? Surely it's got to be for UFC 5. Surely they're on this build-up. They're getting these fighters scanned in, so when UFC 5 comes, we're not missing fighters off rip like we had with UFC 4. Now, we all know EA is a notoriously lazy company, and I'm not going to say that all the rosters in the world make up for bad gameplay and meta and spam and all that shit. However, it would be good, for UFC 5 if we go into it with a completely full, updated models that don't need to be updated weeks or even months into the game's life cycle, models that are just perfect. The fact they took so long to update Charles Oliveira's, Alexander Volkanovski's, even Cody Garbrandt's need to be updated weeks after release. But surely they wouldn't be doing all this effort for UFC 4. Which brings me to the most recent thing. They added 3 fighters. They added them last night. I don't know when this video will come out. They added them on the 10th of November. As you guys know, Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya are set to face off for the title. Coming up in the weekend. Honestly, I just see Izzy outpointing him unless Alex is able to land that big left hand. That's kind of the way I see it going. I don't see it being an exciting fight. Izzy's talking about it being bloody. I doubt it. They're not going to trade. Izzy's too clever to trade with someone like that. Especially in 4-ounce gloves. It's just a death sentence. It's not worth his time. But they're the 3 fighters. Yesterday, I got a chance to play with them all. I did start doing like a live comp playing with them, but then I was like, that's just not me for UFC 4. I don't enjoy it. I can't sit and pretend, which is why the only time I talk about UFC games is either old ones that I'm playing, or I'm talking about the prospect of a new one, because that is exciting. But for me, UFC 4 is not a game I can enjoy. I far, far prefer UFC 1, 2, and 3 to UFC 4. So last night they added Alex Pereira, who I did give a go, and he at left hand absolutely melts people in game. And then they also added, I'm going to try and pronounce his name correctly, Rafael Faziev, as well as Talia Santos. Now, I believe that most people aren't too bothered about Talia Santos. The hype is just around these two lads, which is fair enough. These are big names. Rafael is someone that people have been asking for ages, and Alex is only recently in the UFC, so people have been asking for him since his UFC debut. So it's great to see, and like I said, the fact they keep updating. But bringing me to my next point is they put on Twitter when they announced that Pierre was going to be in game, they put for the cover. Now, people jump to right for UFC 5 cover. I doubt it. If Alex wins, he will have an MMA record of 7-1. I believe he'll have 3 or 4 UFC fights, and he'll beat Sean Strickland and Israel Adesanya. Does that earn him the title? Should he really be over Alexander Volkanovski and Leon Edwards? I strongly disagree. But I believe this will just be an updated UFC 4 cover. To be honest, guys, I don't see a world where this is for the cover of UFC 5. It says for the cover. They updated UFC 3's cover, if you guys remember, to the Notorious edition, which was just the Irish flag colours and all the graffiti of McGregor and all that shit. So this probably just be for an updated UFC 4 cover. They'll probably strip the Jorge Masvidal and Israel Adesanya one from digital editions, and it will be Izzy or Alex, whoever comes out victorious. Like I said, I use the fighters, nothing groundbreaking about any of them, and before it gets into it, I'm not doing this whole Undisputed versus UFC 4 thing, guys. I couldn't give a flying fuck, to be honest with you. If I want to play UFC games because I want an MMA experience, if I want to play Undisputed when the beta or early access or full game comes out, it's because I want a boxing experience. For me, if you can do a whole versus thing, you have too much time on your hands. It's fine to compare the games, I think, to a certain extent. But one's in beta, one's 2 years into its release, and we still have get-ups like this. You know, so the reason I say this is because last time I was playing as Alex Pereira against a friend. It's just like, the game is fun, but only for a limited time when you play with your friends, in my opinion. But I don't enjoy it, but I'm hoping UFC 5 will bring back that love for MMA games instead of me having to go back to games that came out in 2018, 2014, 2012, 2010. I'm sick of not being able to play the newest one just because it's not fun for me. It's just not. But, you know, what do you guys think? Are they adding these fighters to UFC 4 so they can simply, to a certain point, port them across to UFC 5 and, you know, touch them up on whatever engine or graphics they're going with for UFC 5? Or are they just doing this because they want to keep updating UFC 4? They want to keep making money off this, their most successful UFC product yet? I can't imagine they'd be rescanned for UFC 5. That wouldn't make much sense. But we'll have to see. But with Valentina Shevchenko in the mocap, that pretty much solidified that UFC 5 is on its way. And to be honest, UFC 5 being less than a year away, I think is quite possible now. The fact that we're seeing steps towards UFC 5 without the production of UFC 4 stopping. You know, so, you know, this has been the longest life of a UFC game as well at the moment. Every other game was a 2-year span between one another. 2014, 16, 18, 2020, and it's now 2022 coming to 2023. So this is their longest UFC, and arguably the worst one. People are not enjoying this game still. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. You know, I would quite like for UFC 5 to drop with like a maxed out roster. I'd love that, because even if the gameplay is limited, as I expect it will be, because UFC 4 is very limited in itself, at least you get to play with all the fighters and have some fun with all the new fighters. So at least that first month of the game is fun, because you're experiencing the roster, you're learning, you're doing the career, but then after it becomes stale, and that's where I worry. But fingers crossed that UFC 5 will rekindle my joy in EA Sports' UFC games. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of the new fighters? Are you still playing UFC 4, or are you like me and you really just couldn't give a shit? You maybe jump on to try the new fighters and then you bail. Let me know in the comments down below. But thank you as always for watching. Drop a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.